two Rays rookies have powered Tampa Bay's charge to the top of the American League East. Steven Souza Jr. and Joey Butler continue to lead the team in all major offensive categories. Tonight, they face a tough task as Cleveland sends its ace to the hill, reigning Cy Young Award winner Corey Kluber. What was an overcast afternoon in Cleveland, Ohio, has turned into a beautiful evening for Game 2 of this three-game series between the Rays and the Cleveland Indians. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. So good to have you looking in. Well, the Rays have had a great road trip. They're 3-0 coming off last night's victory here over Cleveland. And the pitching matchup tonight, two pitchers who have been pitching very well. Corey Kluber's had trouble getting wins recently for the Cleveland Indians, but Erasmo Ramirez continues to chalk up victories for the Rays.
And for Erasmo Ramirez, it's all about efficiency. I mean, this is a guy who moved back into the starting rotation on May the 14th, and he has done nothing but win since then. 7 starts, a 6-1 record, that ERA of 2.52. Averaging less than 15 pitches an inning, too. That's what I talk about with efficiency. He has been attacking the zone with the fastball, expanding with the slider, and the changeup. He'll look to continue that because he's on quite a roll. Won the Cy Young Award last year. Corey Kluber, all he does is strike guys out. Very effective with that. He's third in the American League with 111 Ks after a year where he finished second in the American League with 269. The thing about Corey Kluber, he can get it done a number of different ways. He's got a good power fastball, a subtle cutter that he's going to keep right around 90 miles an hour, and a power curve. Look out, 3 different ways to put you away.
And that record is very deceptive. He has been pitching extremely well recently, and you can see the last time the Rays faced him in September last year, that might have wrapped up the Cy Young Award for him. 8 innings of shutout baseball, 11 strikeouts to go with 2 walks. On this road trip, Steven Souza Jr. has put on a clinic, both with his defense and with his power. And Todd Callis breaks all that down when we return.
ready for tonight's game. There's Kenny Lofton, part of the celebration of the 20-year anniversary of the 1995 AL champion Indians, back in town again tonight. Souza Jr. is a scout's dream. His combination of speed and power off the bat is one you rarely see. And he has showed it off in this road trip, because we got in Washington, first of all, this bomb in his first at-bat back, or his first game back against his buddy Jordan Zimmerman. He had the first hit against Zimmerman. Then he had that solo home run. And then here in Cleveland, this was a bullet to left field off the clock down the left field line. Kevin Cash has been here a couple years, says he hasn't seen one go that far down the line. Look at his defense in D.C. Great catch in foul territory. Then last night with Jake McGee with a runner on first base and nobody out, Steven Souza Jr. all the way down the line, makes the sliding catch, gets up, doubles up the runner. This combination of power and speed is something Kevin Cash's manager enjoys.
It's very impressive. We've seen, a lot of the raw power, and we probably don't appreciate the way he can run and cover ground, but that was a tremendous play, game-saving play, because we're second and third if that ball drops, most likely. But it was a heck of a play, and along with KK's play out there also.
So we're ready tonight as Steven Souza Jr. slide-stepping a little, getting warmed up for tonight's game in less than 3 minutes till first pitch. The Rays and the Indians, Erasmo Ramirez and Corey Kluber next, right here on Sun Sports.
Rays continue to run first in the American League East. They are one full game up as they start this game tonight against the Cleveland Indians. Starting lineups presented by your Southern Ford dealers. A quick look finds Kevin Kiermaier again in that leadoff spot, and he is stepping in right now and ready to face Corey Kluber. First pitch of this game, a bunt down the third base side, and that is foul. Strike one. First pitch presented by Pinch A Penny.
And for Corey Kluber, you want to try anything to get on base against this guy, and you want to attack him early because of all the assortment of pitches he can put you away with. And you can see right there, 15th start of the season, the record 3-8, all the other numbers not too shabby at all. It's been a lack of support, worst run support in Major League Baseball at 2.33.
It's around Kiermaier's back foot, and the count is 1-1. 18-9 last year for Kluber, and he took home the Cy Young Award. Two balls and a strike.
269 strikeouts in 235 and 2/3 innings, spread out over 34 starts. Impressive.
There is ball 3. 3-1. Kluber doesn't walk many, but he gives up a pass to Kiermaier to start this game.
Well, let's take a quick look at the Cleveland Indian defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, we have Michael Brantley, Michael Bourne, and Brandon Moss. Across the infield, third to first, Giovanni Urshela, Francisco Lindor, Mike Aviles, and Carlos Santana, with Yan Gomes back behind the plate.
Kluber with all those strikeouts. When you look at his monthly walks, his walks for a month totals what some pitcher with a little bit of a control challenge might walk during a game. You'll walk 5 guys all month, maybe 6 guys all month. And here's Joey Butler. Pitch is outside to him. But a leadoff walk to Kiermaier.
Oh, that's why you see, when you start looking at the percentage of swings on his first pitch, it's going through the roof this year because of that. If you wait around on him, he's going to get ahead of you. He's going to stay ahead of you. And then you look at the strikeout numbers, he's going to put you away.
And a move to first. Kiermaier back in.
Now this is where Corey Kluber is vulnerable. There have been 14 stolen base attempts against Kluber, 9 successful.
And there goes Kiermaier. Good jump and a base hit through the open right side of the infield. Kiermaier's going to go to third, and Joey Butler, who has done about everything you could ask of him, executes that one extremely well.
We just talked a couple of days ago about this 1-2 combo in the lineup. Because of Kiermaier, he's been hot lately, getting on base, the ability to steal a base, he's been running more frequently, and then Joey Butler up the middle the other way. What a perfect combination for hitting and running. And here you go. That right side completely abandoned by Mike Aviles, covering second base, and Joey Butler punches it through the hole, and the Rays are off and running.
Well, if you look at history, the Rays now have men at first and third with Longoria and then DeJesus due up, and they've had a little success against Kluber. And a foul ball. Longoria hitting .272 for the year, is 3 for 8 in his career against Kluber. You can see that left wrist is wrapped, and that continues to be an issue with him. He had a little 7-game hitting streak going, and all of the hits in that streak, I think there were 9, were singles.
Well, he just doesn't have that explosion in the swing, the explosive hands right now. Just not there. You know, that he's trying to get it started early. Anytime you're talking about a hitter's wrist, especially that bottom one right there, he wants to start right there, throw that bat, lead those hands through the zone quickly. And it's not been easy for him.
An 0-2 count. Down and away, and a nice stop there by Yan Gomes. Gomes just back in the lineup. He had a little neck issue that prevented him from playing last night, and was a late call to go into the lineup tonight for Cleveland. It'll be ball 2. 2-2. Two men on, nobody out. A 2-2 count on Evan Longoria. And a shot deep to left. That baby's going to get out of here. Gone. Home run for Evan Longoria. Sore wrist or not, he got that one out of here. And the Rays lead 3-0.
Yeah, so much for the explosiveness in the swing. I think that was the case there where Evan Longoria was sitting on the fastball thinking that Corey Kluber is going to try to come back with that pitch and overpower him with it. He got it started early, and he absolutely destroyed that pitch. And how about that start for the Rays against Kluber?
7th home run for Longoria. And the Rays, just like that, put 3 up to start this game. The 8th home run given up by Kluber this year. Well, Evans certainly feels good about that one. And here is DeJesus into left center field. That's going to roll to the wall. DeJesus on his way to second and will stop there with a double. So the Rays have Longoria and DeJesus cash in. A 3-run homer by Evan, and on the very next pitch, DeJesus finds himself in scoring position with a double.
Well, attack Kluber early, and that's exactly what DeJesus does. If you're going to pitch him away and stay away, and David DeJesus, he's ready to hit. He gets that pitch running away, a little bit of elevation, and he just slaps it with authority out there into left center field. Well, this Rays lineup has come out smoking. Leadoff walk, too.
Yep, Rays hit 3 home runs last night. We just mentioned Kluber doesn't walk anybody, and then he walks Kiermaier. Butler does what he does, a base hit with Kiermaier running. That's set up first and third, and then on a 2-2 pitch, Longoria turned the fastball around and hit it out. The double by DeJesus has followed, and here's Logan Forsythe. And he tried to check, but could not, and that's a strike.
And that was on the cutter. That's that cutter that we're talking about. Almost appears to be a hard slider. It doesn't have a lot of depth to it. The movement is late. Tough for hitters to hold off of.
There's a strike 0-2. In 3 starts against the Rays, Kluber's ERA had been 1.08. 3 quick runs tonight. That's a foul ball right off the mask of Gomes. Well, while you've got a man at second base and nobody out, might as well cash in here and get him while you can against Corey Kluber.
Yeah, do not want him to find it. He's a guy that is capable of taking over a game and having dominant stuff, but he's dealing right now with a team that's playing with a very high level of confidence, having a good road trip, this little mini road trip that they're on. Hit 3 home runs in the ball game last night.
It's up the right side, going to be foul, and slice out of play. Well, here are the numbers we were talking about in that Cy Young Award winning season last year. 235 2/3 innings, and by today's standards, that's a ton.
Yeah, those are gaudy numbers. Good win total, tremendous ERA, like you said, big innings in this day and age.
And Forsythe stays alive, fouling that one.
I'll tell you, they're making him work, and if he's able to retire Logan Forsythe here, how hard he's had to work to get what would be the first out of the inning, fouling off some tough pitches, just continuing to battle.
And another foul ball. How about that one?
How about the last 3 foul balls by Logan Forsythe? Flipped that ball down the right field line. The previous pitch, that's a nasty breaking ball down and off the plate. And watch him just flip the wrists. Anything just to stay alive. And all you're trying to do there is exactly what he did. Just flip that ball foul, live to fight another day. Maybe now he makes a mistake.
And again, a foul ball to extend this 0-2 count. Well, it's going to go to at least 8 pitches here, down 0-2.
Yeah, it's so frustrating for a pitcher. He's already angry with giving up the 3 runs and then the double to DeJesus. Then he gets quick 0-2, and he cannot put Forsythe away.
He's made 20 pitches here in this inning and has not recorded the first out. And again, a foul ball. Just enough to hang in there.
You know, really, you could put a package together of these swings by Logan Forsythe in just fouling these tough pitches off from Kluber.
And a fly ball hit into center field. That will be caught. A tag at second by DeJesus, and the throw is going to get it. That ball hit the shallow center field. And Bourne, not known for throwing runners out. A calculated move there, and DeJesus is out at third.
And obviously, in the Rays scouting report, they said we are going to run on Michael Bourne. There would be no other reason for DeJesus to tag up on a ball hit that shallow, except for the fact that they want to challenge him and challenge his arm and his accuracy, and he answered the bell there.
So all of that time without recording it out, and suddenly 2 gone with the bases empty. DeJesus trying to get to third with 1 out so that he could score on a fly ball, but he is thrown out by Michael Bourne. Steven Souza Jr. fouls it. That's strike 1. So a 9-pitch at bat there for Forsythe before the fly ball to shallow center results in 2. As in 2 outs. High pop right side foul, and that will carry out a play. 0-2. Well, the Rays all year have been very aggressive, particularly with the lead. Souza last night connecting in the 9th inning off the clock. At 9:56, he hit it 422 feet off the face of the digital clock. Fouls this one back.
That's a long way, and it got there rather quickly.
How about this? We're up to 25 pitches. This will be the 26th, and out of all of this, he's recorded 14 consecutive strikes, Kluber. We walk Kiermaier. He continues to pump in pitches. The long at bat to Forsythe. He got ahead of him 0-2, and Logan fouled off a number of pitches, and there's a cut and a miss. So Souza's out on strikes. That ends it, but the Rays put up 3 on the home run by Evan Longoria. His 7th of the year, and will go into the bottom of the 1st with the Rays holding a 3-0 lead. Bottom of the first from Cleveland. The Rays put 3 on the board off Corey Kluber to start the game. Take a quick look at the starting lineup for Cleveland, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Jason Kipnis leads it off. He's the DH. Lindor, Brantley, Santana, Moss, and Gomes in the middle of the order. Mike Aviles gets a start at second, hitting 7th in front of Bourne. And Urshela, the third baseman, hits 9th. And there's strike 1 on the first pitch from Erasmo Ramirez.
And all this guy's done is win since he's gotten back into the starting rotation. He's won 6 out of his last 7, including 4 in a row.
And ahead of Kipnis, 0-2.
And that's why. He just does not allow these hitters to get comfortable. I mean, he really has just gone out and attacked the zone from pitch number 1.
And a check in time by Kipnis. Kipnis has been red hot. He started last night with a double his first time up. Finished the night 3 for 4. 89 hits now on the year for Kipnis. He leads the league. And lays off the off-speed pitch. Our Buick big matchup. A 14-game hitting streak for Kipnis overall. He's hitting over 400 at home. Lifts a fly ball into left for David DeJesus, 1 away.
Let's take a quick look at the Tampa Bay Rays defense. See how hit's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield left to right, we've got DeJesus, Kiermaier, and Souza Jr. Across that infield, third to first, Longoria, Cabrera, Forsythe, and Franklin tonight at first base with Rivera behind the plate.
Francisco Lindor, the young infielder. There's a strike. Top prospect for the Indians. Most of that damage has come from the left side out in front of that pitch, and he's behind 0-2.
Young hitter, always susceptible to the changeup. Ramirez got him there. Tried it again.
It's a ball and 2 strikes.
You get called to the big leagues, you're young, you're anxious, you've proven you can hit a fastball. That's what you're looking for. That's a lot of times how you're attacked as a young hitter. And so that changeup becomes quite the weapon.
And a little bit of that one foul. He's been up a week, up from Columbus, hitting .281 with the Clippers. Fly ball into left. DeJesus is right there and makes the catch on that one.
You know what's going to be fun to watch, especially when we get that view from center field when Rene Rivera is going through the pitches to Erasmo Ramirez, is the directives that he gives him. And we've already seen a couple. Him telling him on that fastball right there, I want this one up with some movement. And then on previous against Jason Kipnis, he called for that breaking ball and started pointing down towards the ground, giving his pitcher a visual on where he wants that thing.
And that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because as people ask us how the Rays are doing and how they're winning, and pitching has been such a big part of it, and that guy right there has been a big part of the pitching success, is Rene Rivera. I mean, pitch by pitch, he's with whoever's on the mound.
He is emotionally invested in the outcome of that particular pitcher's line.
Yep. Michael Brantley, high chop right side. Ramirez will have to cover first, and he stumbles as he got to the bag, and apparently is all right. So Brantley's out of there on the chop. 1, 2, 3, go the Indians. brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Morgan Auto Group. Make it Morgan, we make it happen. And by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Rays with a 3-0 lead. Jumping on Corey Kluber quickly in that first inning. Getting all 3 runs on the Evan Longoria home run. And as Asdrubal Cabrera will lead off the second. Takes the pitch for a ball, 1-0.
You talk about a hitter that's locked in during the course of a series. Anytime you come back home or you come back to a team you spent a lot of time with.
Well, Cabrera saw Kluber when he played behind him. Now he's seeing him up close from the other side.
A little different view.
Pop foul, out of play, 2-1. Cabrera took a 1-0 pitch out his first time up last night against Carlos Carrasco, hitting his 4th home run of the year. And that made it a 2-1 game. Rays at that point. They went on to win it 4-1. Fly ball into right. That's Moss under it. 1 away.
And you know what that does for Asdrubal Cabrera? When you come back in these emotional types of series, first time coming back here to Progressive Field, you put a lot of pressure on yourself because you want to put on a show. And when you're able to get the big hit out of the way right away, it allows you to just calm down a little bit and get into the flow of a series. And I think that you'll see Asdrubal Cabrera flight out right there. But he'll have a good series because now the nerves have been put at ease because that big home run.
Nick Franklin playing first base tonight. He takes the pitch down. One and one. Franklin with a home run and 3 runs batted in, hitting 138 to start play tonight. One and two. Liner into center field, and that's right at Michael Bourne. It's one of those where the center fielder's not sure because the ball's hit directly to him.
Did you see? I mean, we have a great shot of that from our perch up here behind home plate. But yeah, Michael Bourne, that ball had a little knuckling action. He started back and forth until that ball finally found him.
Strange how that happens. Well, the ball's hit right at you. Yeah, right. It's a little difficult to get a read on something like this.
Yeah, look at a little tap dance out there before he finally settles in front of it.
Well, here is Rene Rivera. He chops it to the left side. Urshela, the third baseman, makes the play, and the Rays are up and down 1-2-3. We're through an inning and a half, and the Rays lead 3-0.
second inning, joined by a very special guest who's on hand here for the 20th anniversary of the 95 Indians AL Champions team. Dennis Martinez, El Presidente, joins us right now. The original from Nicaragua, and we have a Nicaraguan pitcher out there tonight. That's kind of unusual and probably exciting for you, huh?
Well, it's always nice to see a young kid as Erasmo Ramirez pitching for the Tampa Rays. Watching him, his ability that he's able to do it, because in Seattle Mariners, I don't think he was able to do what he wanted to do. And right now, I can tell he's really happy. He's enjoying what he's doing, and he's learning that what he needs to do. And I think the main factor has been Hickey, the pitching coach. I think he's the guy that he really set up with him and talking to him about it, the mindset. And I think that's all that kid needs, and I'm really happy for him.
It's great to see you as we have it out here on a ground ball into the shift. You're here with part of the 95 team. A lot of good memories, a lot of good jokes being passed around this weekend.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's what one thing that we really miss, the camaraderie. You know, we were, as a group, we were together. We were gamers, what we call it gamers. You know, we were fooling around before the game, but with the bell ring, we were just all game face. So, you know, that was part of our time. And so, you know, we missed that. But other than that, we had a great ball time here.
As Erasmo Ramirez deals here with one out, a foul ball. You had a chance today before you went on the field for the ceremonies to see almost somebody join the perfect game club. Max Scherzer was one out away. What are your thoughts? Do you reflect back whenever a guy gets close to that great day against the Dodgers?
Definitely. I'm always rooting for those guys, too, because, I mean, it's not easy when you're in that situation and you're so close that you want to see everybody doing it, because, you know, it's always great, because those type of games that you never know what's going to happen. And when you're there, you want to grab it, you want to get it. So I was rooting for him all the time, but it didn't happen. You know, it's always something happen that you never know what's going to happen. But, you know, it's great to see some other guys do it. And I think Scherzer is one of the guys closer that he can do it.
Yeah, it was so close, just a hit by pitch, then he ends up at the no-hitter. One of 23 all-time, one of 21 in the modern era. Dennis Martinez with a perfect game. Going back to your friendship with Erasmo Ramirez, we mentioned not a lot of Nicaraguan-born players. I believe there's 4 active right now, but he's a guy that's been to your academy down in the country? Yes,
Erasmo, he's been in the area where we have our academy in Nicaragua. And he's one of the kids that his story is real good, because he came from a family, you know, that they didn't believe what he was doing, but, you know, he always was playing baseball, and he wanted to play in baseball in his little town. So he's a humble kid, he's a great kid, he really worked hard, and I'm glad that he's with the Tampa Rays, because I don't think he was treated the way that he was supposed to be treated at the Seattle Mariners. And when I saw that, I say that the best thing could happen to Erasmo Ramirez to be traded and move somewhere out. And look at now that he's in the right place with Hickey. I mean, you know, to me, Hickey is one of the best pitching coaches in baseball, and I think he's in the right place with the right team. And we'll be looking for a good year for Erasmo.
Great compliments for the Rays and for Jim Hickey. Do you feel like, you mentioned his family wasn't sure, that you have opened doors, but there's still some convincing for kids and families down in Nicaragua to make baseball a lifestyle?
Well, I mean, this is a great opportunity for him, and we're really proud of him, because he's the only major league player that we have for our country. So he represents our country right now, and I can imagine the way he feels, because the country is on his shoulder. So and he had to learn that what it represents for our country right now. So, and he takes responsibility to even work harder, because everybody is on top of him, watching him what he's doing, and expect him to pitch real well every 5 days, because that's what happened in my time. So now he's representing our country, and we are behind him 100%, and hopefully he will do his job to help the Tampa Rays to win the division.
Well, that would be great for us. Dennis, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. We appreciate the time. Your career was so brilliant, and we thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Very enjoyable to hear from Dennis Martinez, and what a great pitcher he was. 245 wins, and there is strike 3 on the outside corner to Yan Gomes. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Ramirez. Rays lead 3-0. 3-0 lead here in Cleveland. Moving on to the third. They have that lead on the strength of the home run by Evan Longoria. Tonight's game, we again participate in the home run challenge, meaning every Rays home run raises $12,500 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by going online to homerunchallenge.org. Kevin Kiermaier, top of the order to begin the third. He opened this game by drawing a walk, and the Rays converted that into a 3-run first off Corey Kluber. Cut and a miss for a strike. Well, Kiermaier had a couple of great plays against him last night. So a little reversal. Usually he's the guy doing that. Ground ball, base hit into right. And Kiermaier on for the second time. So there's a start here in the third.
You know, when you try to pull the pitch away from you that's down, that gets you into trouble a lot. This one had just enough elevation that he was able to get enough on it. Get it by the second baseman Aviles and out into right field. And now all of a sudden you start to look for that possibility again. Joey Butler, Kiermaier, they worked it to perfection in the first inning with Kiermaier running and Butler a base hit to right.
Yeah, and Butler is a double threat in that regard. He's a guy, as we could see, who will hit the ball through the right side, but he also has power.
Boy, did we see that last night with that missile that he hit to right center field.
Out of here in no time.
You know, between that home run and the home runs that we've seen Steven Souza Jr. hit, you'd like to get a timer on those. How quickly do they get to their target? Because those balls have been exploding.
There goes Kiermaier. Pitch is down, and the throw is not in time. It was a bit up. Kiermaier in head first with his 7th stolen base in 8 attempts.
And the more that Kevin Kiermaier runs, the more confidence and more comfortable he gets doing it. You hear about his success rate. This is all, most of it has been recent. He didn't run a whole lot at the beginning of the year, but he's starting to turn that part of his game up, and what a weapon that will turn out to be.
Now, if he could stay in that leadoff spot, he's on twice tonight with a walk and a single, and the way he's running the bases now, a significant threat. A ball, no strikes, the count to Butler. Now the Rays should have 3 chances to try to get this run home. 2-0.
And if you just play smart here and Joey Butler continues to use the middle of the field the other way, at minimum, you get Kiermaier over to third base with 1 out. Although the way Joey Butler's been swinging the bat, you might just drive him in.
Just a little piece of that one, a foul ball. I don't know if we can time it on this one or not, but here's a look at his home run last night.
2001, 2002, 2001, 2002, 2003. It was quick. I mean, right off the railing. Missile shot. Should have gone 1 Mississippi.
Well, he's gone up the middle and to right a lot, and occasionally will pull the ball. And he has power all the way. Well, take a look at this. The 2 rookies in that lineup and where they rank. Those are impressive numbers, top to bottom, for both of them. And that's ball 4. So the Rays put the first 2 men on in the third on a single and a walk. A reversal of the first when Kiermaier walked and Butler singled. This time Kiermaier singles and Butler walks to get Longoria to the plate.
And you got to love, after going down quietly in the second inning, the Rays offense pressure again on Kluber. This is a pitcher who's not been pushed that much the last year and some change.
So here's Longoria. He fouls it back. Strike 1. You know, you're talking about Kiermaier's running the bases and picking up here his 7th steal of the year. He didn't get his first stolen base of the year until May the 16th.
That sounds about right.
He stole it against the Twins up in Minneapolis. It's low. 1-1.
Well, you just can, and we see this a lot with the Rays, whether it be with position players, defensively, the pitching staff, the progress that they make during the course of a season. And that speaks to the coaching behind the scenes before anybody comes into the stadium and buys a ticket. All the work that's been put in by the Rays staff, encouraging Kiermaier, giving him tips, technique.
Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on with this team. You know, the things that we talked about before with Rene Rivera, what he brings to this club behind the plate, what the coaching staff brings to essentially a very young team as well, with all the extra work. And ball 3 is wide. Fastball off the plate, and it's 3-1.
The team realizes that it just can't show up, throw its gloves out on the field and win ball games. It has to outwork people, has to be smarter than the opposition.
Well, it's a great example. You know, athletics and sports so often utilized as an example. There's ball 4 and the bases are going to be loaded. An example in society for the kids who are fans of whatever sport. And what's happened with this team, I think it's a great example for that, because they have overcome so many injuries. They've played smart baseball, and there's a reason they are as good as they are defensively, and that's where it begins. You know, it's not bright light stuff, the defense a team puts out there, but it is outstanding. You can see what's happened the last 20 games. They're 15-5 and averaging 4 runs a game. All those numbers, particularly when you get into the pitching, that's the underpinning of that is smart, effective pitching and good defense to back it up.
You got that starter's ERA at just over 3. They're the guys that set the tone. They're the guys that go out and set the tone and kind of lay it all out there for the rest of the team. Then you get supported with 4 runs a game, and that defense that you're talking about will take a good pitching staff and make it a great pitching staff. And it's not only just about catching the ball, which they do, it's the amount of ground that they cover. Athletes all over the place.
David DeJesus now takes the pitch for a strike. Kluber got a visit from Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, and now works to David DeJesus, who doubled his first time. Into the dirt, blocked by Gomes. It's 1-1.
That's the pitch that Corey Kluber, and he's actually had trouble with all 3 of his pitches here tonight, but he's just not been able to find a consistent release point for the cutter, and really a lot of times the fastball too. And a lot of bad counts, an exorbitant amount of walks for a start involving Kluber.
Yeah, he doesn't do this. Second time this year he's walked 3 in a game. We're in the 3rd inning. Line drive that's going to be off the glove of Santana. Longoria was diving back into first base, and the throw to second is going to get him. Kiermaier scores. Butler winds up at 3rd. And Longoria, who thought that ball might be caught, was diving back into first.
Well, they're going to take a look at it, too, because that was a close play at second base. And you're right, Dwayne. That line drive actually went off the glove of Carlos Santana. Watch right here. Thinks it may be caught. Evans diving back in, and Brandon Moss is a little late on this throw. Well, that's close.
It is very close. And Kevin Cash saying, wait a minute, let's take a look.
Ooh, I think that's worth a look.
And consistently, and I don't know where else they could position themselves to make a call at second. But the second base umpire, in this case it's Tim Timmons, it's difficult to get a good look without being screened. So for the moment, Longoria is out at second base, and the Rays decide not to challenge it.
Well, yeah, from that angle, I mean, you start thinking about stands since he was called out.
Yep. So the Rays get a run. Kiermaier makes it a 4-0 game. First and third for Logan Forsythe. And the pitch is a strike.
Yeah, and how about poor David DeJesus?
Well, he gets a run batted in. Thought he had a hit. Technically going to be a fielder's choice. Ground ball, shortstop. Lindor to second one, first base two. 6-4-3 on the double play. The Rays settle for one and lead 4-0. Provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Rays Flex Packs now come with one of 8 great gifts of your choice, starting at just $59. Rays Flex Packs allow you to choose any 3, 6, or 9 games with no blackout dates. Plus, get half off parking when using the funds loaded to your Rays card. For details, visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. It's a 4-0 ball game. Mike Aviles leads it off and takes the pitch inside. Erasmo Ramirez with a 4-run lead in the bottom of the third. Inside. 2-0. Rays got 3 in the first and 1 in the third. There's a line drive, and it's shot past Longoria into left. Aviles on with a leadoff base hit. Indians with a base runner, and now the center fielder Michael Bourne. Bourne hitting .238. Has an assist in this game. The pitch is wide, and Rivera is going to pay Ramirez a visit.
Well, you think about the hit that Mike Aviles just got, a pitch that was up, elevated over the plate. That pitch right there, up and away. Rene Rivera, we've seen this often with Erasmo Ramirez as well as a couple other guys, heading out there trying to get in front of it. Left a couple pitches up. Let's get back to working downhill.
We got the bottom part of the order. There's a cut and a miss, 1-1. Michael Bourne, 1 of 3 in his career against Ramirez. Facing him for the first time in a Rays uniform. And an eye on Aviles over there at first. Out front, 1-2.
Boy, and Michael Bourne did everything he could to stay back on that pitch and still couldn't. Erasmo Ramirez, I'll tell you, that changeup is a plus pitch for him.
And right back with it to strike out Michael Bourne.
The action on the pitch looks just like the fastball. That little bit of sink and run, but the arm speed is what sells it. And when you can go back to back and get these two swings, you know it's a good pitch.
Well, Bourne already's had enough of the changeup. He faced Boxberger last night and then eventually was called out on strikes. And now the changeup a couple of times here to get him to 1-2 and then to strike him out on the changeup. 1-0 the count to Urshela, the third baseman, Giovanni Urshela, hitting .241.
It's always neat to pick up on those trends, the changeup in Michael Bourne. Obviously, that's part of the game plan. They know that he's been susceptible to that pitch, and you've got a number of guys on this staff that have good changeups, so have at it.
Yeah, what a great pitch that's been for the Rays staff through the years.
And it's been joined now by the elevated heater. And boy, do they play off each other well.
Ground ball, shortstop, Cabrera. Second base 1,
wow.
First base 2. Nice scoop on the receiving end by Franklin. And a great start by Cabrera to start the double play, 6-4-3.
Boy, it starts with Cabrera. Watch even Forsythe. And then finished off with the Franklin pick.
Rays lead moving into the 4th inning tonight. Selfie Saturday brought to you by H.H. Gregg. Submit your best selfie watching a Rays game by using the hashtag selfie Saturday Rays. And we'll select the best photo and feature it on the post-game show.
I know this is your favorite day of the week.
Saturday.
Selfie Saturday. I see you every now and then. That's why you're so excited for the giveaway when we get back.
The selfie stick.
That's right.
I've never used one of those.
I've seen a couple of them.
Yep.
Pretty interesting little contraption.
That'll be fun. And I legitimately don't think that I've ever taken a selfie.
I would know.
Take a couple of pictures of you once in a while. Put them away for future reference.
I was going to say.
A long one off the bat of Sousa, and that one is foul. Oh my, did he hit that one a mile? But foul.
Boy, he's another guy. Ball off the bat, put on the stopwatch. Well, he's swinging the bat with a lot of confidence right now. And even though that he struck out in his first at bat, he's also cut down on his strikeout rate. And that's a big plus.
There's a ball, and it's 1-2. It's amazing to watch the ball or hear the ball, either one, come off his bat.
You know, when we're up doing our work, you're doing some highlighting, writing some notes down, you know when he's in the batting cage.
That's
you
right.
can tell the sound. It's different. It is absolutely different. And it's not that he's a big, muscular guy. You know, maybe 6'3", 6'4", but he's tall, lanky, and he is able to generate a tremendous amount of bat speed.
A 2-2 count to Sousa Jr. This one is popped up. The shortstop Lindor in the outfield makes the catch. Well, if you're a hitter and you've hit a foul ball as long as he hit it, and the at bat ends in that pop up, you're just a little frustrated.
Yeah, you would expect nothing less, and you're right, because what could have been a foot or two.
So one gone in the fourth inning. Now it's Asdrubal Cabrera. Strike one. They have Lindor shaded toward the middle from shortstop. And Urshela off the bag at third. Not a shift, but they certainly play him to pull the ball. Two. Rays lead 4-0 here. The Yankees in the bottom of the second in New York have a 2-0 lead on Detroit. It's down. Three runs in the first, one run in the third. Rays bat in the fourth. Stayed wide. It's 2-2. And now the pitch is wide. Full count. Pitch is foul back. So we'll see another full count pitch made. One out, base is empty. It's Nick Franklin on deck. And ball 4 to the backstop it goes. 4th walk given up by Kluber. So the Rays have a man on with 1 out. Tomorrow is the final round of the 115th U.S. Open Championship from Chambers Bay Golf Course. And you can catch all the action on Fox. Find out who will stamp their names in the history books beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern, only on your local Fox station, or watch all the action on your phone or tablet with Fox Sports Go. Dustin Johnson with a 1-shot lead. Nick Franklin pitch is inside. Cabrera at first. Franklin lined to center his first time. It's off his foot. So the count is 1-1. Hey, congratulations to Max Scherzer, who threw the no-hitter today at home for Washington over Pittsburgh, 6-0 at VA. How close he came to perfection.
Yeah, he was 2-2 on top of that, and a couple of fastballs up and away. He fouled off and tried to yank a slider, and it backed up on him, and Jose leaned in, took it right off the elbow.
Yeah, that was with 2 outs in the 9th, and he got ahead of him.
2 outs. He got ahead of him 0-2.
Yep.
And he able to fight it back to 2-2 with the 2 fastballs fouled off, and then hit him with a slider. What a way for it to go away. But you know what? You got to tip your hat to Max Scherzer for keeping his composure. When he hit him, you could see the disappointment. Like, you've got to be kidding me. I hit a guy to ruin the perfect game, but was able to retire the next hitter. It was our boy, too, Josh Harrison. Flew him out.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't want to be facing him.
Yeah, he's one of our favorite players in the National League. Even before he started to get all that acclaim, you could see it in him.
Yeah. We were so impressed with him in that series last year. The way that he carried himself, the versatility that he gives the Pirates, how hard he played the game. And that's who he got to end it.
There goes Cabrera, cut and a miss by Franklin. Cabrera runs into the out at second base. The tag put on him by Lindor. So the Rays are finished in the 4th and lead 4-0. "15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Rays are in Cleveland tonight, holding a 4-0 lead on the Indians. Erasmo Ramirez against Corey Kluber. And Jason Kipnis, the leadoff man, will begin the fourth for Cleveland. The pitch is a strike. Ramirez has been stingy with the pitches here tonight. 13 in the first, 10 in the second, and 10 in the third. 0-2 ahead of Kipnis.
It speaks to what we talked about before this game even started. The resurgence by Erasmo Ramirez has started with strike one, with attacking the zone, not messing around with these hitters whatsoever.
7 out of 10. First pitch strikes. There's a base hit on an 0-2 pitch. So Kipnis extends his hitting streak to 15. Right now, let's check in with Rich Hollenberg at our studio. All right, Rich, thank you very much. Runner at first here in the bottom of the fourth inning. With the second straight inning, the Indians put the leadoff man on. Aviles had opened the third with a single. They erased him on a double play. One strike to count to Francisco Lindor. Upstairs, 1-1. There's ball two. Kipnis, as we mentioned, on that base hit. Ramirez hurt himself with that last delivery. Well, that's absolutely the last thing the Rays need.
And the way that he came off the mound and where you start to think groin. Where you push off. Even the way that he delivered that pitch. Lower body injury.
Well, let's take a look at the last pitch.
You can see right there as he's pushing off and coming back around, he's not able to whip that leg around.
Well, the Rays gathered around Ramirez on the mound, trying to determine the extent of this injury, and that's going to be it for Erasmo Ramirez. So Ramirez walking off. Here's one more look at that.
Well, he went right. Felt something, no question about it. And that, that's one of those injuries that you do not want to allow the pitcher to test it, to try it out. All you'll end up doing is making it worse, kind of like with Jake Odorizzi and that oblique. He wanted to throw more pitches. They said absolutely not. You run the risk of aggravating it. Same thing here. Get him out of there.
Well, there's another case. You look at the Toyota trend. How about this? The Pirates and the Rays have cornered the market since the middle of May in the major leagues in wins. And Erasmo Ramirez and Garrett Cole each with 6. Chris Archer and Charlie Morton with 5. And now Erasmo Ramirez leaves this game. The Rays will have to go to the bullpen and try to piece this one together. On the hill. Erasmo Ramirez has left with an injury. We'll take a look at a couple of these deliveries.
That's where the problem started. That was the second to last pitch he threw. You saw the little bit of grimace, a stretch here after that little hop. I think at that point he was feeling something, no question about it. And then the very next pitch, not able to even get that leg up and over like we normally see. The bent over and Rene Rivera understanding something is amiss. And at that point, smart to get him off the field and not aggravate it any further.
So Ramirez will depart. 3 innings plus the base hit he gave up to Kipnis here. 2 hits. He struck out 3 in this game, didn't walk anybody, and so the Rays again challenged. Cedeno making his 25th appearance, and that appeared to be a groin injury for Erasmo Ramirez.
Well, now the challenge for Kevin Cash is you've got a 4-run lead, and you're going to have to eat up what you hope is at least 6 innings. Nobody out here in the 4th inning. You want the Indians to have to bat in the bottom of the 9th, so that's 6 innings he's going to have to coax out of his bullpen here tonight. A bullpen that already leads Major League Baseball in innings pitched. They will absolutely lengthen that lead.
Well, Francisco Lindor up here with a count of 2-1 to be inherited by Cedeno. He fouls it. So it's the top part of the order for Cedeno here against Cleveland. Ball 3 and the count is full.
Like Xavier Cedeno against the right-handed hitters, against the lefties, he loves that slider that he sweeps away from him. Against the righties, very heavy on the cutter, and he will try to backdoor that pitch. In fact, I would imagine that's what he would go with right here. Started just off the plate, bring it to the outside corner.
Line drive going to be caught by Longoria. Throw across, skips beneath the mitt of Franklin. And down to second base goes Kipnis. Kipnis trying to get back there to prevent the double play. And the throw skipped past Franklin, so Kipnis does advance anyway.
Evan Longoria upset with himself. First things first, Xavier Cedeno does go with that pitch. It's lined sharply, and Evan gets rid of it quickly. And Nick Franklin coming off the bag just to try to knock that ball down and keep it from getting behind him is not able to do so. A backhanded wave, and that leads to 90 feet for Jason Kipnis.
Michael Brantley up here with a man in scoring position. Pitch is a strike. So an error charged to Longoria, his 4th. And in scoring position. Foul ball out of play. Let's check in with Todd Callis right now to get an update on Erasmo Ramirez.
You guys were right. Right groin strain for Erasmo Ramirez, taken out of the game, guys.
All right. Thank you. We'll see the extent of that later on. Indians for the first time tonight have a man in scoring position. Brantley has been very good with men in scoring position. Came into the series hitting .339 with runners in scoring position, and he's behind the count right now, 1-2.
And you know, in his breakout year last season was very good against left-handed pitching. Hit over 300 against them with 5 home runs. So these kind of matchups do not faze Michael Brantley. Does a nice job of keeping that front side locked in. Not a lot of leaking. You see how he's kind of closed right there, and he stays that way.
Sends a fly ball into right. Souza Jr. into right center, makes the catch. Tag at second. Kipnis heads to third and is there with 2 gone. Fly ball for the second out.
Well, that's a big out there. Tough hitter in Michael Brantley, and now he just concentrate on retiring the hitter, leave Jason Kipnis at third base, and maintain that 4-run lead.
Carlos Santana will be hitting from the right side now, and the Rays put on the shift for him from this side. It's low, covered up by Rene Rivera. Rays scored 3 in the first, added 1 in the third. We're in the bottom of the fourth. That one just missed a fastball. 2-0. Mike Everett calling the balls and strikes tonight. And he tends to give you the corners if you'll do it consistently. Rivera out to spend some time with Cedeno, who's behind in the count right now. Everett celebrating his anniversary. Was on this date in 1996 that he umpired his first major league game.
And he gets to work the plate.
Now ball 3. 3-0. Geltz starts to loosen in the bullpen. And there's ball 4. Cedeno gives up the pass to Santana.
And I think that that's probably what Rene Rivera's message was. Listen, you're down in the count 2-0. Nothing too good here to the right-handed hitting Santana as you get Brandon Moss now coming to the plate. A better matchup for Xavier Cedeno.
Moss struck out on a changeup against Ramirez his first time. Pitch inside. Moss interesting this year with his splits. He's hitting .219 against right-handers with 9 home runs. 2 of his home runs against lefties, but he's hitting .277 against left-handed pitching. Want to know the count. 1-1 now. And on the corners, 2 gone. Now 1 and 2.
Well, and if you've gotten him to chase these breaking balls for strike 1 and strike 2, no reason to think that he won't go after one now. He went after one up in the count 1-0. Now down 1 and 2 and having to protect, even more susceptible to the chase. Stay with it. Although I would try to move it a little bit further away from him.
And he got him. Came back with it, strikes him out. 2 men left on base. Cleveland does not score, and the Rays lead this game 4-0. Top of the 5th inning, and tonight's great moment in MLB history, presented by Geico. And for that, we go back to the favorite son here in Cleveland, Brian Anderson, in his time with the Indians.
Imagine yelling with a high left going.
Well, apparently it just came naturally. It was in evidence back then in the mid-90s, and carried it into the new century.
Well, I'll tell you what, that 1997 run, that postseason run, that was fun. Terrible ending, but
yeah, they're all magical years when those things happen.
And when you get to the point where, you know, playing the Marlins and you've got a lead in the 9th inning, bottom of the 9th inning on the road of Game 7, and then it doesn't happen.
Yep.
That was a tough plane trip home, especially coming from a guy who grew up near Cleveland and knows all about Cleveland lore, postseason failures.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why that Cavs series killed me. Someone needs to get it done.
Oh, but here are the formative years. Representing Geneva.
That's right. Who was teaching me how to hit, and kind of stance is that, and who smiles at the pitcher?
Always been a friendly guy.
I'll tell you, that bat that I had in that picture was it was an aluminum bat, red, and we didn't, you know, there was no money floating around Geneva to be buying a cool bat. You see how gray it was on the barrel. That thing had been, I mean, it was so nicked up. There were scrapes. That bat had no juice. You were hoping to dribble one through the infield with that thing. I remember that bat. It was lost. Dead sound. It was like you're constantly swinging. You get jammed when you'd barrel one up, and it was like getting jammed.
It's Kevin Kiermaier. So you're saying that you got that wet newspaper sound out of an aluminum bat?
I was swinging a wet Star Beacon. That's why I ended up a pitcher.
Oh, a strike on the inside edge here to Kiermaier. The count is 1-1. It's always a very busy time for you in town here. We've all on the crew witnessed that.
That's why you got to get the work done ahead of time. You have no shot day of. Well, it's amazing that this organization, how intact it has stayed. So you come back and it's the same people that you were working with, you know, well, 18 years ago.
2-2 to Kiermaier. Tapper foul. And we got a chance to see some of the Indians from the '95 team. We saw Todd Callis chatting with Dennis Martinez. Jim Thome was here. Eric Plunk, who did some setup work out of the bullpen.
I remember getting in the bullpen. That's what I pitched out of in 1997. And I remember the first game of the series that I was active for, sitting next to Eric Plunk because Mike Hargrove had told me, you be ready from the first pitch. I'm not really sure how I'm going to use you. You just be ready to go from pitch number 1. And about 3 innings in, I sat down next to Eric Plunk and said, how do you do this for 162 games? Because I'm exhausted. Just pacing.
Ooh, a cut and a miss. So 2 gone, 2 strikeouts now in the 5th inning. And look at this pitch from Corey Kluber.
It's so late. You know, you start to think of Chris Archer and his slider and how late it is. The hitter is committing to the pitch before it's finalized its break. And at that point, it's too late.
Yeah, anything that breaks late, whether it's that cutter, slider, a sinker that sinks late, that's trouble for hitters.
Yeah, that's why those pitches and the pitchers that throw them are so valuable, because you have to, as a hitter, you've got not very long to make your mind up to swing when the ball's way out there in front of the plate. And if it hasn't started its move then, and you start your swing, well.
Yeah, if you can make a pitch break late, whether you throw 86 or 96, you've got a chance to have some success.
And a lot of that is due with the finish. Hand speed, finish out front. When you have that hand speed and that good electric finish, that's when you create that spin that is just so tight, and those pitches, they break late, or the sink even, all out front.
Look out, this one's skipping back into the stands up the right side. Holding the count of the ball and 2 strikes. Couple of strikeouts for Kluber in the 5th inning. He has 3 strikeouts in a row now, representing all of the strikeouts he's accumulated so far. And he has another one. Strike 3 on the outside corner. 4 consecutive strikeouts. We're in the middle of the 5th inning on what has turned out to be a beautiful evening here in Cleveland. 4-0 Rays. On to the bottom of the fifth. The Rays hold the lead. It's 4-0. We've had fun watching Kevin Kiermaier play the outfield. This UZR, the ultimate zone rating, puts a run value to defense, attempting to quantify how many runs a player saved or gave up through their fielding prowess. And tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And here is the list right now. Kevin Kiermaier topping that list with 13. If you look at some of the other leading outfielders, Billy Hamilton, the speedster over in Cincinnati, and Lorenzo Cain, who's excellent in Kansas City. And Kiermaier sits atop that list.
And he's got a nice little lead there. And, you know, we like to have fun with the fact that, you know, Kevin Kiermaier church it up a little bit. He's always active out there, jumping, throwing off balance. But we do notice, whether it's the opposing team's center fielder or when the Rays play someone out in center fielder not named Kiermaier, the amount of ground that he covers and how spoiled you can get by watching him do what he does. I mean, right or left, in or straight back. He's pretty good in all facets and covers a ton of ground.
Well, here's Ronald Belisario. We were very impressed with him in the game he pitched for the Rays in Washington, the 2 innings he gave them.
I just don't understand how you get this guy as late as they did on a minor league deal. He's a ground ball specialist that throws 93, 94, 95 with the kind of movement that he gets. If he stays healthy, he's going to have success.
And he's ahead of Yan Gomes. Well, there's Jim Hickey. And you heard Dennis Martinez speak so highly of him. It's kind of nice to hear Hickey get those kind of accolades especially from a guy who is just as great a pitcher as Dennis Martinez. Gomes is out here to begin the 5th inning.
Jim Hickey's work does not go unnoticed, and it's not just because, you know, the Rays pitching staff has been so successful over the last however many years, you know, basically since they started their run in 2008, but it's the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes, what we kind of talked about earlier about, you know, Kiermaier and stealing bases, more comfortable in those situations, defensive, you know, the defensive work that the Rays put in, all the behind the scenes work that Jim Hickey puts in, and getting to know each pitcher.
Ground ball picked up by Cabrera. He spins and throws. Mike Aviles is out of there, and a nice job on a sharply hit ball by the Indians' second baseman.
Yeah, fleet of foot. He wants to be in this series. He wants to play extremely well. He shows some really good range there, and very rarely is he inaccurate with his throws.
And if he gets there, he's got it.
His glove work and hands, it just the hands are so soft. Everything is so smooth as that ball heads into the glove.
Michael Bourne takes a pitch inside.
And he's got that low 3/4 arm angle throw down perfectly.
One ball, one strike. Pitch is down. 2 balls and a strike. Now 3-1. Ground ball right side. This one Picked up by Forsythe. A strikeout and 2 groundouts. 1-2-3 go the Indians against Belisario. We move into the 6th, 4-0 Rays. Rays move into the 6th inning holding a 4-0 lead in the game tonight and all season. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Evan Longoria got the Rays on the board with a 3-run home run in the 1st inning tonight. His 7th home run of the year. And he faces Corey Kluber to open the 6th. Kluber, who struggled through the first few innings, has now put together 4 consecutive strikeouts and a fly ball to center on the first pitch, caught by Michael Bourne. 1 pitch and 1 out in the 6th.
Well, that was always the fear with Corey Kluber. The way he was wobbly there in the 1st inning. Thank goodness the Rays were able to capitalize on that, and the pitching has made it hold up thus far, but those are the types of runs that he's capable of getting on.
David DeJesus now with 22 runs batted in on the year. He didn't get the base hit in the 3rd. That was a fielder's choice, as it turns out, but he did drive in the run, the 4th one of the night for the Rays. And the first pitch is a strike to him. Yankees have an 8-0 lead at home over the Tigers, with Detroit now hitting in the top of the 4th. Pitch is popped up. Brantley in shallow left. So 2 outs.
You knew it was going to be interesting when you get an alert on your phone that says Brett Gardner is a home run away from the cycle in the 3rd inning. That's not too good.
Yeah. So we had to check that out. They have 8 runs, 9 hits. And the Tigers, no runs, 1 hit. Rays opened the day a game up on New York in the East. The Blue Jays are now 2.5 back. Blue Jays lost to Baltimore in Toronto today. That's a strike to Logan Forsythe. That was a 5-3 Baltimore victory. 1-1 to count to Logan. Oh, that one came in and hit him. Got him on the hand. Well, it's been a tough night for Forsythe. He actually had hit into 2 double plays, and now he's hit by a pitch. And that first one, he hit the fly ball to center on a 9-pitch at bat. He got down 0-2. It ended 0-2. when he hit the fly ball to center, and that's when DeJesus was out trying to advance to third. So an unusual double play there, and then a 6-4-3 double play in the third, now hit by this pitch. It's Steven Souza Jr. at the plate. He's 0 for 2. That's a strike on the foul ball. Souza hit the long home run last night in the 9th inning, and it came close earlier tonight. He hit one a mile, but it was just foul down the left field side. And it's popped back into right. Brandon Moss waits for it, and the Rays are out in the 6th. A man left. We got to the bottom of the inning, and it's still 4-0 Tampa Bay. In the first with a big home run from Evan Longoria with 2 men aboard to give them a 3-0 lead. David DeJesus drove in Kevin Kiermaier in the third. Erasmo Ramirez left with the right groin strain after 3 innings plus. And now pitcher number 3, Ronald Belisario, who pitched a 1-2-3-5, faces Giovanni Urshela. Urshela, the third baseman, leading it off here with a 2-ball, no strike count. Urshela just 23 years old. He's out of Cartagena, Colombia. He'll be followed by Jason Kipnis and Francisco Lindor. 2-1. Ground ball, shortstop, and right there to pick it up, Cabrera. And the throw to first takes care of the first out. Right now, let's check in again with Todd.
Hey, Dwayne, coming up on Friday night, it's girls' night out for all the ladies at Tropicana Field, and they're going to receive this women's cowboy hat. That'll be Friday against the Boston Red Sox. There'll be drink specials as well. All ladies will receive this Rays cowboy hat, courtesy of Outback. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or go to RaysBaseball.com. And guys, tomorrow, throwback headband sported by Brian Anderson. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be cool. Back to you.
We are looking forward to that. That hat looks like it's the right color and quite functional. I have a feeling that's going to be in high demand by the young ladies. It's a natural for Todd.
He looks good.
Yeah.
Well, really good.
Hey, Todd was born in Houston. So Of course that's going to look good on him. He's a natural. Pitch a little wide. 2-1.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to be like Christmas come early for Todd Callis. Out there roaming around, getting interviews, the porch,
Ladies'
the hats.
night out. Are you kidding me? This ball is going to be fair. Into the corner. Kipnis continues to be red hot with his second hit tonight. He's already hit safely in 24 consecutive games in this ballpark and 15 overall with his latest hitting streak home and away.
And out of the 24 straight here at home, that is now the 13th multi-hit. That average up around 500, on base approaching 600. And he is just so calm at the plate right now. And we've seen it in this series, a game and a half under our belt, and we've seen him go up the left field line twice now. You stay away from him, he just stays back there. He's not jumping at pitches, he's staying calm, he's staying back, and he's lacing that ball into left field.
So Jim Hickey out with a word or two or three. Now he heads back into the dugout. Francisco Lindor is the hitter. And this one to the backstop as it bounces in. Skipping by Rene Rivera. That was in the left-handed hitter's batter's box with a wild pitch, moving Kipnis over to third.
And that was a pitch right there that Belisario tried to overthrow. And what you want to tell Ronald is, listen, you don't have to overthrow that sinker. Just throw it like you've been throwing it. It's got enough movement on its own. You try to make it do too much or get too nasty, that's the result.
1-1 on the foul ball. Out of play. Foul the fastball to the opposite side.
And now you got an opportunity here to go for the strikeout. Runner on third, less than two. Trying to make pitches first and foremost. Once you get to two strikes, now you think about what do I have in the arsenal to put a guy away.
It's away, 2-2. The rookie shortstop. He's a big hitter with a man at third and one out. And Michael Brantley on deck. And he got him. He strikes him out. Lindor out number two. Second strikeout for Belisario.
Sinker, 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 sinker. Then he missed with the slider the previous pitch. Said, I'm going to go back to it. Boy, he drops this one down and in. And he does get the strikeout.
And healthy velocity on the slider.
He's got a live arm. There's no doubt about it.
Michael Brantley. Ground ball to first. Nice hop for Franklin. Out at first, and that takes care of Cleveland. They leave a man at third. On to the seventh inning, 4-0 Rays. be. Monday, our coverage of the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues as Alex Morgan and Team USA continues their quest for a third title as they take on Colombia in a win-or-go-home matchup for both teams. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and catch the whole tournament streaming live on Fox Sports Go. As Drupal Cabrera attempts a bunt and bunts it foul, that's a strike. Cabrera walked in the 4th inning and was out trying to steal. This one is down 1-1. It's a foul ball out of play. 1-2. Two and two. Tapper going to be foul. Going to run the count all the way out. It's 3-2. Top half of the 7th inning. Rays scored 3 in the first, picked up another run in the 3rd. Ground ball to the right side. Avili's at second base. Takes care of that. That's out number 1 in the 7th. Wrap up game of the road trip tomorrow. And here's what's coming up on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. MLB celebrating Father's Day. And BA, you'll be breaking down the defensive work of Kevin Kiermaier. We saw he sits top of that list.
Yes, that'll be fun. Very fun. Some throws, some hops, some ground covered, some UZR for you.
Pitch is down to Nick Franklin. Well, that just rolls right off your tongue.
I've been preparing.
It's a 12:30 start tomorrow for Rays Live, the pregame show.
By the way, pregame show on site. Pregame show.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
And apparently post-game on site.
Even better.
Bouncer foul.
Going to get a lot of sound. Break the game down from all angles. We'll hear from Kevin Cash.
Yep.
We'll hear from a player or 3
or 4.
Whoever we have to hear from to be able to really put the scope of the game into perspective.
And we're going to hear from Rocco Baldelli tomorrow. That will be interesting with Steven Souza Jr. being the topic.
Pre or post?
That'll be pre.
That'll be pregame.
Yep. Rocco coaching first base for the Rays. It's great to have him around. Spent some time in the front office and now in uniform.
I think he spent some time as a ring announcer too.
He has, apparently. We've heard some of those renditions, and interesting enough, sounds exactly like him.
Michael Buffer, look out. Rocco Baldelli's pretty good.
Three-two. Franklin lifts it into shallow left field. Brantley is there. So a ground ball and a fly ball. 2 outs in the 7th. Kluber has made a nice recovery from the struggles he had early in the game. The Rays haven't done much. They got 3 in the first and 1 in the 3rd inning. They have 4 runs and 4 hits, and all of that came in the first 3 innings. It's Crockett, the lefty. We saw him, Kyle Crockett, last night, and Ryan Webb is up again. And there's a first pitch strike to Rene Rivera. Pitch count now just over 100 for Kluber. He had a very short 6th inning, just 8 pitches in that one. One and one. Big cut at the fastball, and now it's 1 and 2.
And just a little bit of cutting action to it, and it's so subtle. And really, the only way that you can tell is the miles per hour. And you got to take a quick peek at that because it's going to be anywhere in that 89, 90, 91 range.
Now it's 2 and 2.
So many different variations of the heater. 4-seam, 2-seam cut, some bigger than others.
Foul back. Two outs, nobody on base. Kluber coming into this game, making his 15th start, 3 and 8 on the year, with an earned run average of a little over 3.5. But his last 7 starts, it was 2.25. The count is full, so all 3 hitters have had full counts here in the 7th. And you can see the run support for him, lowest in the major leagues at 2.33. Rivera back in. And that is strike 3 call. That one cut enough to catch the strike zone. Bottom of the 7th coming up, 4-0 Rays. The 7th inning tonight in Cleveland. Tonight's Selfie Saturday brought to you by H.H. Gregg. Submit your very best selfie watching a Rays game by using the hashtag Selfie Saturday Rays. We'll select the best photo and feature it in the post-game show. Steve Geltz enters the game here in the bottom of the 7th. Erasmo Ramirez worked 3 scoreless innings, 3+, and left with a groin strain. Xavier Cedeno worked an inning. Ronald Belisario worked 2 innings. And it's the 31st appearance for Geltz now. In there with a record of 1-2 and a .237 earned run average.
Well, he'll do a little bit of everything. He started a couple of games mid-relief. We've seen him close out some games. And here he's asked to come on and get some big outs in the bottom of the 7th. As Kevin Cash has had to piece this ball game together because of the early injury to Ramirez. And Geltz has been outstanding as of late. That fastball really coming out of the hand smooth and clean.
There's Carlos Santana. And the pitch is wide. As Geltz comes in here tonight, he's pieced together a nice little run. He's retired 22 consecutive hitters. And they've also taken note that 15 in a row since he got that kiss from Paula Abdul.
That's right.
Well, you knew that she was going to steal a kiss. You got to spend some time with Geltz. Why not? One and one the count. There's a strike on the inside corner to Santana. It's 1-2. Geltz takes it in stride. Pitch is high. 2-2. Apparently she was here in Cleveland last week with Tommy Lasorda.
And he's thinking about managing again now.
Trying to start a streak of his own. Swing and a miss. Santana's out of there on strikes.
You know, this is a guy, Carlos Santana, that has such good strike zone discipline. And so a lot of times you're forced to pitch out over the plate. Doesn't chase very often. And Geltz, look at it, just drive this fastball downhill. And that's what he's been doing lately. He's been good with that pitch.
Now Brandon Moss. And there's a first pitch strike. One ball, one strike. And on the appeal down there to Tim Welke, he goes up with the right arm.
Now that was a changeup running off the plate, and Brandon Moss, kind of a haphazard swing, just couldn't hold up.
Fastball by him. Well, he followed up that change with that fastball and strikes out Santana and Moss back to back.
Boy, he's making it look easy. You know, you get on these streaks every now and then, and you know, difficult for a reliever, because when you talk about now 24 straight hitters retired, that's spread out over some time. So you've got to continually stay sharp, and that's what Geltz has done. Elevated heater putting away Moss.
Yan Gomes, the catcher. He was called out on strikes in the second, struck out swinging in the fifth. Popper Short center. Kiermaier. That's out number 3. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the 8th. Rays lead 4-0. Well, our Gold and Diamond source game summary. Evan Longoria connected for a 3-run blast in the first inning, giving the Rays the early lead. They tacked on a run in the third. Erasmo Ramirez pitching well, but had to leave in the 4th inning after 3 innings plus with a right groin strain. So the Rays have utilized Cedeno, Belisario, and Geltz to follow. And we're headed into the 8th inning now. Rays will have the top of the order due up. Kiermaier, Butler, and Longoria against Ryan Webb out of Clearwater. And he's on to make the 16th appearance of the year. 1-0 with a nifty 2.61 ERA.
15 strikeouts, 20 2/3 innings. More for Ryan Webb about getting that ball working top to bottom and keeping the ball on the ground.
So 7 innings for Kluber. 4 runs, 4 hits. And here's Kiermaier, who started the night with a walk. Takes the pitch high. 1 ball, no strikes. Walk, a single, and a strikeout. 2 runs scored and a stolen base tonight for Kevin Kiermaier. Strike on the outer part of the plate, and it's 1-1. Two and one. Shot toward left center. Kiermaier's on again. This one's going to roll to the wall. Another chance to watch him run. On his way to third, and he will make it without a play. Triple for Kiermaier, number 6.
When you could watch the Indian outfielders, the way that they were going after that ball, and you immediately knew they were in trouble. I mean, kind of haphazardly, just jogging after it. This is your typical, going to take a double. Wrong guy to do that with. And Kevin Kiermaier, that play happening right out in front of him, gets to top gear in a hurry and never slows up.
So Kiermaier is now at third with nobody out, forcing the Cleveland infield in with Joey Butler at the plate. Pitch inside. Butler has a single and a walk tonight. Called out on strikes in the fifth. Little tapper. That's a fair ball in front of the plate. And he is out with Gomes making the quick pickup there.
That's frustrating because Joey Butler, the way that he's been swinging the bat, this is a perfect situation for him to drive that run in. That ball actually hits behind the plate, but enough top spin, it rolls out in front and makes for an easy play for Yan Gomes. That's to the extreme, but that's what Ryan Webb wants you to do. Hit the top half of the baseball.
Here's Evan Longoria. First pitch is a strike. The Indians have three men on the left side of the infield and close. And a big cut to miss by Evan. 0-2. Brandon Gomes busy in the Rays bullpen. Tap foul. So it's a 2-strike count. Kiermaier at third. Rays trying to pick up an additional run. And a ground ball back to the hill. And now they're going to get Kiermaier in a rundown. Oh, they lose the ball on the throw back. Everybody's going to be safe. And Longoria winds up at second. Wow. The Rays had Kiermaier caught in a rundown. And they could not execute the rundown play.
With Kevin Kiermaier's speed, Yan Gomes ends up running him back to Urshela too close. And Giovanni right there. Boy, he tries to catch and tag at the same time, and that ball was never able to get into the glove. But you just don't take into account his speed, and that's a late toss there by Gomes. And Urshela not able to come up with it. Well, he's burned him twice now with his speed. Well, more than that, twice in the last 5 minutes.
And now men at second and third. First base open. They will walk DeJesus intentionally. Crockett, the left-hander. Manship, the right-hander in the bullpen. So the intentional walk to load the bases. So the bases are loaded with one out for Logan Forsythe. Well, for Cleveland, that intentional walk to the left-handed bat of DeJesus a cinch, because now with the right-handed hitter, the bases are loaded. Force play at any base. So here's Logan against Webb, and he takes a pitch inside. Kiermaier tripled. Butler was out. Gomes to Santana, and then Longoria hit the comebacker to the pitcher, and in the rundown when Kiermaier broke, a fielder's choice and an error of the scoring. The error charged to Urshela. Ground ball shortstop. Linder, Phillies 1 and over to 2. They get the double play. And so the Rays miss a scoring opportunity in the 8th. Bottom of the frame coming, 4-0. Time now to vote for your Rays All-Stars. Remember, vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at RaysBaseball.com. Voting exclusively online and available on your computer, your tablet, and your smartphone. Vote early and vote often. Help select the starting lineups for the 2015 All-Star Game. Vote at RaysBaseball.com now. Brandon Gomes takes over following Steve Geltz to the mound. Gomes making his 24th appearance. 1-2 with a 231.
And Brandon Gomes has done a really nice job coming out of the bullpen for Kevin Cash and the Rays. And we talked about it his last outing. Very good with the split, a swing and miss pitch. Well, that slider has become a big put away weapon too. So he's got a couple of different ways to attack it.
Mike Aviles will lead it off. Aviles had a base hit back in the 3rd. Cabrera made a nice play on him on a ball he hit back in the 5th inning. Threw him out short to first. Pitch is a strike. Michael Bourne to follow, and then Urshela, the third baseman, due to bat 3rd in the inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gomes pitched an inning Thursday against Washington following Archer to the mound. He had a 1-2-3-6, picked up a strikeout. It was a little low, 2-1. Into center field. Kiermaier's right there and makes the catch. So the leadoff man is retired. Well, the Yankees having a big night against Detroit. That game's in the top of the 6th in New York, and it's 13-0 New York. Michael Bourne. No ball, no strikes. Down 2-0. Rays won last night 4-1. The Indians scored their run in the first inning of last night's game. There's a 3-0 count on Bourne. The Indians last night had 7 hits and left 7 men on base. They were 1 for 9 with men in scoring position last night. 0 for 4 so far tonight. And a strike is in there around the knees. It's popped back a third, headed for the stands. De Jesus over there just in case. Looking for a big gust of wind to blow that one back, but no chance. And the count is full. Ball 4. He missed up. Second walk given up by the Rays tonight. Come out to Family Fun Day Sunday, June 28th, as Bop Kids play a post-game concert. All kids 14 and under receive a Rays Retro 10 lunchbox while supplies last. For more information, visit raysbaseball.com/concerts. Shella fouls it. Strike 1. Foul out of play again. Ramirez worked 3+. Cedeno an inning. Belisario 2. Geltz 1. Geltz running his consecutive retired streak to 25. One ball, 2 strikes.
He needs just 2 more for the 2-week perfect game.
Yep. Well, good things come to those who wait and are patient. How about that? 25 in a row. Retired now for Geltz. 18 since the Paula Abdul kiss. There's a fly ball into left center. That's going to drop for a base hit. Kiermaier gets there in a hurry, and Bourne stops at second. So Urshela is aboard, and now it's first and second with 1 out.
Now there's a slider breaking down and away, and it's right off the bat of Giovanni Urshela, the end of the bat. He just kind of flips it out there and drops it in front of everybody. And now the Indians with 2 aboard with just 1 out.
And back around to the top of the order, Jason Kipnis, who is the hottest hitter going. 2 hits tonight, 2 for 3 with a 15-game hitting streak. Too low and blocked by Rivera. So a big spot right here as the Indians try to get back into this game in the 8th. The Rays working with a 4-run lead right now. Gomes picks up a strike at the knees. 1-1.
Well, you've got trouble lurking. You just think about Lindor, Brantley, Santana, Moss. They're run producers, and as hot as this guy is, this is a big at bat here.
Fouls it back. 1-2. Brad Boxberger gets up in the Rays bullpen. It's away. 2-2. Stepping back with 2 men on base and 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Facing a very hot hitter. Kipnis has hits in 24 consecutive home games. A 15-game hitting streak alive, and that pitch just missed. Shot the outside corner with a fastball, and it's 3-2.
Well, he is absolutely shooting that outside corner, and that late movement took it right off the plate. Kipnis wasn't biting.
Kipnis has a hit to right and 1 to left center tonight. And the count 3-2. A popper down the left side. That's going to be a foul ball. Will it be playable? Out of play, and boy, DeJesus doing everything except climbing into the stands down there by the rolled up tarp.
Yeah, and if the rolled up tarp is not there, you may have a shot. This is 1, maybe 2 rows back, but you're cut off from that tarp, and there's that ball. Well, maybe, you could have. Second row.
Somebody took Todd's hat.
How did they get the hat?
Where's Todd? Make sure he's okay. 3-2 and a foul ball again.
What are the chances? That had to be Todd's hat. What are the chances? It does have the Rays Burst logo, and they haven't been given out yet. He got that hat from Todd in the Ohio State shirt.
And they each have 2 souvenir baseballs.
We need to get to the bottom of this. First of all, you need to get it out. Get out of this inning, then get to the bottom of that.
3-2 again from Gomes. Oh, he lost him. And the bases are loaded. Bases are loaded with 1 out. Walk, a single, and a walk.
Just pulled that fastball down and in. Jason Kipnis takes his walk, and now you've got some real trouble. Jim Hickey coming out to the mound here to kind of calm the situation down.
Francisco Lindor, the shortstop, will be the hitter, a switch hitter. He's just been up a short time. He has shown that he's better from the left side of the plate than the right side.
Heavy strategy right there. You can see the conversation between Hickey and Gomes and Rivera about exactly how they want to start this at bat off against Lindor.
Lindor can run a bit. Gomes ready. Foul ball. Strike 1. foul off the fastball, out of play. So he's got him down 0-2. Lindor has gone to left with a fly ball, line to third, and he struck out on a slider in the 6th. A 2-strike count right here. And a swing, and he just got a little piece of that one to stay alive.
Well, we've seen the slider on the outer half for strike one, a fastball away. That looked to be the split, and it just stayed up and up enough that Lindor was able to spoil it.
Oh, 2 again, covered up by Rivera. Started on the 1-out walk to Bourne. The single by Urshela. And a walk followed to Kipnis. Again the 1-2 pitch. And a little chopper to the right side. They'll get an out at second. That's the only one they get with a run crossing the plate. Urshela goes to third. Lindor reaches on a fielder's choice. And that makes it 4-1.
I was able to put the ball in play, but not hard enough for the Rays to be able to have a good chance of turning two. A chopper as he's running out of the box. So that right there was best case scenario, and you'll take it. Trade a run for an out here.
Yeah, the Rays counting outs at this point. They have a tough hitter now in Michael Brantley. Twice he's grounded out to first, and in between hit a fly ball to right. Gomes ready with his first pitch to Brantley. And he starts him with a strike. Dropped a breaking ball in. Fly ball to the left side. Again, it's going to be out of play. 0-2. Ground ball. That's a foul ball. Boy, that was wicked for both Franklin and Toby Bassner.
Wow.
Sandy Alomar trying to get the fair call on that one. Here's another look.
Boy, a bad hop over the glove of Franklin and right off Toby Bassner, who calls it foul.
Got him on the left shoulder.
Well, you can imagine what I mean if he calls that ball fair and it hits. I mean, that ball could have been down in the corner. A big chance for the Indians. Instead, it would have stayed in the infield. In this case, it's nothing more than a strike.
0-2 again. Into the dirt. And Rivera very active back there.
Well, you'll see it. I mean, this game getting a little interesting here at the end. A runner on third. Indians within 3. A tremendous hitter at the plate, and you're right, Rivera showing a little bounce, a little pop. One more good pitch.
A 1-2 again. Ground ball headed towards second, and the toss from Forsythe to Cabrera will end this inning. 1-run scores. It's 4-1. Rays at the end of 8. Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with Cyberknife. By Hattrick's Tavern, proudly serving Rays fans for 18 years. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Four to 1, the Rays carry this lead into the top of the 9th inning, facing Ryan Webb. Down in relief of Corey Kluber. And Steven Souza Jr. will open this inning. Rays had loaded the bases in the 8th inning, but failed to score. And so Souza, Cabrera, and Franklin due up here in the 9th. Pitch inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Big cut and a miss. Now 1-1. Two and 1. The Red Sox had a 4-1 lead in Kansas City. And the Royals scored 5 in the 5th and another one in the 6th. And now Kansas City leads 7-4. Two one, the count on Souza. Too low, and it's 3-1. Cut and a foul ball. Webb threw the double play ball to Forsythe in the 8th inning, and that ended the Rays' threat. Now Souza Jr. opening the 9th. There is ball 4 inside. So leadoff walk puts a base runner aboard. Aerial coverage tonight provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Well, a walk to the mound for Terry Francona. He'll make the pitching change here. Back in a moment. A little insurance in the 9th inning. We have Rays Live, the post game, coming up after our coverage, all presented by Checkers. Rich and Orestes will anchor our coverage from the studio. We'll hear from Kevin Cash. Todd Callis will have interviews from the clubhouse. Evan Longoria belted a 3-run home run tonight in the first inning, his 7th home run of the year. The Rays got another run home in the 3rd with David DeJesus picking up the RBI. That first inning home run on a 2-2 pitch.
Well, that's been the difference in this ball game, and it was early. You know, Corey Kluber had beat him earlier in that bat with a couple of fastballs, went back to the well, and won too many times because Evan put the Rays up by 3 right away.
And Evan continues to play with that sore left wrist and had settled for singles. He had a 7-game hitting streak stopped last night. All of the hits in that streak singles, but he got hold of that one and belted the home run. Sore wrist notwithstanding. Kyle Crockett, the lefty. We saw him briefly last night for a 1/3 of an inning. Cabrera now hitting from the right side, and he takes a strike. Cabrera walked in the 4th inning, was caught stealing. One ball and 1 strike. One and 2. To play the other way, still a ball, 2 strikes. Ground ball, second base. Out at second and out at first for 6-3 as Cabrera erases the leadoff walk and grounds into the double play.
Wow, and Francisco Lindor coming across second base was coming across hot. Mike Aviles with the shovel, and Lindor, my goodness, watch him come across second base here. You couldn't take him out. He had moved too far away and wide of the bag.
Now Nick Franklin. Pitch is low. Franklin 0 for 3 tonight. Down around his feet. 2-0. Rays will have Alex Colomé on the hill tomorrow against Cody Anderson, a right-hander making his major league debut. There's a liner into right center field and a base hit. Franklin is aboard. And for the Rays, hit number 6 tonight.
Now hitting for the Rays, the catcher.
And a pitching matchup that we mentioned tomorrow of Colomé and Cody Anderson. We'll be with you at 12:30 tomorrow with Rays Live, the pregame show. All come beginning at 12:30 from Progressive Field here in Cleveland. Live. Ground ball second base by Rene Rivera. Aviles throws him out. The Rays are finished in the ninth. They leave a man. We go to the bottom of the ninth, 4-1. The Rays bullpen has to cover a number of innings tonight after the abbreviated start by Erasmo Ramirez.
And they finally gave up a run. This bullpen has been so locked down, and a lot has been asked of them here tonight. We said that they would need 6 to close this out. They're 1 away.
Brad Boxberger, who picked up the save last night in a 4-1 decision, closed out the 5-3 victory Thursday over the Nationals. And so he's called upon again with a 4-1 lead tonight. And he'll face the middle of the order, Santana, Moss, and Gomes. He was called upon last night in the bottom of the ninth when Santana led off. So here we go. The Rays bullpen, the last time through the rotation, has had to cover some innings. Santana goes for the first pitch and strokes it into center. Cut off by Kiermaier, and Santana's going to be held to a single. Great job by Kiermaier to get over there, because that had double written all over it.
Yeah, it's all about the jump, getting to the ball as quickly as possible, and then Kiermaier doesn't even bother setting his feet. Watch him get this ball and throw it back in on the run. It's about getting it in quickly, and that's what he did. And Santana, reading that all out in front of him, said, forget it, I got to stay at first. And by doing that, you keep that double play in order. Great job by Kiermaier.
Here's Brandon Moss. The pitch is a ball. Takes the changeup low. And an in. 2 balls, no strikes. Indians scored a run in the 8th to make it a 3-run game. And a big cut and a miss. Moss trying to get a couple runs back with that swing.
Well, and how many times do they tell you when I'm shooting for a home run or taking that big swing, that's when it doesn't happen. And 2-1 he got, or 2-0 he got long. Same there.
Foul ball back, and we go to 2-2.
With 2 good hitters counts, and he got 2 fastballs out over the plate, and he gets a little bit long with the swing on both of them. And now Boxberger back to even.
Ross had a prolonged at bat against Boxberger. And that's not altogether true. Last night, there's a fly ball to center field, and Kiermaier did a double take out there before he makes the catch. And so Moss is the big first out of the inning. I don't know if Kiermaier stumbled out there or what. He's replacing his divot, or maybe he found one and is taking care of that one.
Yeah. Let's take a look. A little 2-step, put it away.
Now David Murphy hits for Yan Gomes. 1 ball, no strikes. There's a strike at the knees. Murphy started last night, went 1 for 2, had an infield hit. Fly ball, center field. Kiermaier takes it for out number 2.
Busy man out here in the 9th.
Well, he's gone from left center to cut off Santana's opening base hit to right center there on the ball hit by Murphy. And now Mike Aviles is the hitter. He's 1 out away from nailing down a win here. Willie's 1 for 3. Runner heads to second and moves up on indifference. Santana now at second, and a strike to count to Aviles. Away, 1-1. Erasmo Ramirez left with the groin strain. Cedeno, Belisario, Geltz, Gomes, and now Boxberger have all been called upon. It's fouled out of play. You go back through the rotation to Tuesday's game at the Trop against the Nationals. Alex Colomé went 2 innings. Bullpen had to cover. Geltz got the start against the Nationals there on Wednesday. Went 2 innings. Bullpen had to cover. Archer went 5 on Thursday, and the Rays used 4 pitchers to close that. Carnes 5 1/3. Last night, 4 more pitchers out of the bullpen, and tonight a busy night. Ground ball short off the glove of Cabrera. Over to third goes Santana. Cabrera reaching for that one and could not come up with it cleanly. And with that, ruled a hit. 2 men are on with 2 outs here in the 9th inning.
Now this ball was well struck by Aviles, and as Drupal Cabrera had a shot at it, it would have been a heck of a play. A little short hop on the backhand.
You also have to factor in that Bourne can, or Aviles, well, now he takes off with Bourne up there, and the pitch is a strike. So on indifference, both men are in scoring position. So second and third, 2 outs. And Bourne, the man Boxberger's concentrating on now. It's low, 1-1.
And the second night in a row that Bourne has come up in the 9th inning with 2 outs as the tying run.
Well, he finished last night's game striking out 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts against Boxberger. Up a bit, takes the fastball, 2-1. Jepson up in the bullpen. And there's ball 3. So Boxberger behind Bourne here, pitching in the 3rd straight day.
And it's just been so much asked of this bullpen. Already leading major leagues in innings and into their 6th inning here tonight. All the what you talked about just a minute ago. Is there a little bit left here tonight?
Bourne, a ground ball foul outside of first.
And you had Nick Franklin playing on the line, so there was nothing going to get by him unless he just flat out missed it, because he's positioned right there.
Yeah, the last time through the rotation, those 5 games we mentioned, a grand total of 17 in the 3rd innings by the starter, combined in 5 games. Full count, 3-2 pitch is ball 4, and now the bases are loaded. Bases are loaded with 2 outs. It is not coming easy. Jim Hickey to the mound. Giovanni Urshela is going to be the hitter.
A little bit of a breather, a little bit of a scouting report, and you hope this is the end.
Well, the leadoff base hit for Santana, then 2 men retired, followed by the infield hit from Aviles, and then the walk to Michael Bourne. Rays trying to get the final out. Boxberger with 19 pitches tonight. Urshela singled into left center, dropped a base hit in there in the 8th. And he bounces it foul. Strike 1. With a couple hits here in the 9th, hits are even at 6 apiece. Indians have the bases loaded. Ground ball foul again. It's 0-2.
Try to climb the ladder here. 2 straight changeups, and you've had Urshela way out in front on both of them. Good fastball by Boxberger, let her high.
And a foul ball back. Tried to get it up there.
A little bit higher than that. They get sit it right on top of that strike zone, and we all go home happy.
Two strikes the count. Strike 3 call. They got him looking. He got him looking at a fastball, throws him to end this game, and the Rays win it 4-1. And they've taken the first 2 games of the series here in Cleveland by identical scores. 4-1 last night, 4-1 tonight. As we look at the totals there, for the Rays 4-6-1, 6 left. For the Indians 4-6-1 with 8 men left on base. Here's a look at that final out. The fastball that caught Urshela looking.
The only pitch that Giovanni Urshela did not swing at, and it was a borderline pitch, but you're down to your last strike. Way too close to take. Good heater. Nice job, Rene Rivera, receiving that ball, presenting it well, and game over.
So the Rays go to 10 games over 500 at 40-30. Tonight the Rays hit 1 home run courtesy of Evan Longoria and raised a total of $12,500 for prostate cancer research. To make a donation, you can go online to homerunchallenge.org. Victory for the Rays tonight. Todd Callis standing by with Evan Longoria right now.
Yeah, that home run came from Evan Longoria. And Evan, you look at this team, 4-0 on the road trip so far. I think you're now 21-11 on the year. This team, despite being young, seems to fare well away from home.
Yeah, I mean, we've throughout the course of the year, we've had guys just come in and step up. I mean, obviously you could point to all the injuries you want, but the guys that have come in and played for us have been huge, and it continues tonight. I mean, Joey Butler has been on fire. I mean, he's been carrying the offense, so it's been fun to watch.
When you go around the league or guys see you at third base, is there ever a question? That was pretty smooth. Archer saved the glove.